meditation is definitely your second tier of treatment or healing. And by meditation can consist of anything from simply closing your eyes. The meditation is merely the intent. Meditation is driven by the intention to meditate. Now, for me, I can meditate at 120 miles an hour on a 1000cc motorbike. In fact, that's where I prefer to do my meditation. I am so entirely physically possessed of the action of staying alive at that sort of speed that it has an incredibly transcendent effect. And I find that on long motorcycle journeys at high speed, my mind is at its clearest, and quite often in that clear-headed state, answers, solutions to the problems that have been facing me will appear unbidden. That I won't be thinking about a subject, but the solution will just spring to mind. It's clear as a bell, fully formulated, as if I've been thinking about it for the whole journey. I also find to some degree that this happens in the car. I wouldn't recommend that people who are suffering from extremes of emotional or psychological disturbance should be necessarily at the wheel of a car or controlling a motorcycle. But if you're capable and it works, like I say, anything as long as it works. If the meditation of driving the car reduces the symptomology of the mental health disorder, then essentially while you're driving the car you're no longer suffering from the mental health disorder, so it's not a problem. If the mental health disorder persists while you're trying to drive the car, then don't drive the bloody car. Give the keys to somebody else, you know what I mean, especially if you're tempted. If you're not a weird freak like me and you can't meditate at 120 miles an hour on a large motorcycle, then we have the Buddhist art of transcendental meditation. Now, we're all kind of saturated with the New Age symbolism of the yogic meditator with hands pressed together in prayer, with a fading sunset behind them on a beach somewhere, to symbolise transcendental meditation. But I'm here to tell you that transcendental meditation does not require any religion. It does not require any belief in anything. Transcendental meditation is simply a tool to still the turbulence of human thoughts. And it took me years of transcendental meditation to realise that for somebody like me to expect to have my thoughts silenced, sorry, my wife's phone, to expect to have my thoughts silenced was an unrealistic expectation of myself, and I never achieved it, even in prolonged periods of extremely focused transcendental meditation and transcendental meditation breathing techniques, which are very powerful and very mind-altering. And so for me, it's not a matter of completely stilling my mind. I instead enter into a third-party observer and simply observe the passage of thoughts through my mind. I'm no longer party to those thoughts. I'm no longer the person thinking those thoughts. I'm now the person observing the person thinking those thoughts. And we can all do this. We can all think about thinking. As soon as you think about thinking, you are into the transcendental state. You have elevated your awareness. You've zoomed your awareness out one. Now, how to achieve transcendental meditation. I've mentioned TM many times on air. I've often mentioned meditation. I have never given a clear, easy description of how to achieve it. And it's the easiest thing in the world. You don't have to go into the full lotus position and put your hands into some sort of prayer, prayer clasp and press your palms together and hold your fingers in funny shapes. A lot of those techniques do actually help, and when you get to know TM, you can utilise the ones that work for you. Now, for me, the most important thing in order to enter into a TM state is comfort. You essentially have to arrange your body so that you can no longer feel it. By feel it, I mean feel any minor discomfort of position. So basically it's simply a matter of idealising your physical position so that you can feel as little of it as possible, so you are as freed of the sensation of being human as possible. For me, I'm far more comfortable sitting cross-legged and upright than I am in any other position. It suits my body, and I would actually suggest that the semi-lotus position of a comfortable cross-leg position with the small of your back pulled forward, sort of belly forward, chest out and shoulders back, head straight, is, for me, certainly my ideal position for achieving any sort of degree of transcendence through meditation. And I would actually suggest that there are specific physiological reasons why it is the best to achieve TM. However, if you've got physical disabilities, if you can't achieve those sort of postures because of the length of time that you've slouched through your life, maybe you're very tall, and lots of very tall people often suffer with a stoop simply because rooms aren't big enough for them, doors are too small, things like this. And often people like that would be incredibly uncomfortable in my particular chosen body form. So again, it's a matter of deriving the correct mechanism for you. If you're particularly debilitated, a comfy armchair will do. If it's something that sort of you can float your arms and float your legs on so that you can't really feel them, that does the job. Now, the physiological explanations behind this, the reason why you want to sort of sit up straight, and for me what I tend to do is I sit up very straight. I sit cross-legged, straight backed, head up, and I'll extend myself to my fullest height. And then what you actually tend to find is you can actually stretch yourself a little bit further. And so I do. I extend myself again, sort of overextend myself to some degree, and then just relax back, just the smallest bit, just until I can feel the strain of overextension begin to diminish. And then I sort of settle into that position. I shuffle my bum a bit. I kind of get my arms comfortable, my sort of hands comfortable in my lap. Make sure that my shoulders are well positioned and nice and square. Try and draw my head up as if it's got a thread coming out of the crown and drawing me up into the ceiling. And the first thing that you'll notice is that if you are physically capable of achieving this position, you will, when you get it right, you will suddenly actually get a little, almost drug-like high. You'll get a little buzz, a little lift, just from the alignment of your internal structures. That essentially we have all of these complex internal structures that in our usual casual slouches, in our awful Western seating positions and our soft beds and our comfy chairs, that we very rarely actually achieve the dynamic physical form that our bodies were designed to occupy. And that simply by restoring correct posture, we get this little kick, we get this little, oh, you're doing the right thing, sort of well done, sort of congratulations from our body. You know, once you've achieved that position, or achieved whichever comfortable position you can kind of achieve a sense of bodilessness through, then breathing is the next thing. And there's nothing particularly, oh, that bloody noisy water tank. Sorry about this, there's actually nothing I can do about that until it stops. Breathing, and breathing is incredibly easy, but it has to be done mindfully. Now obviously we all breathe all the time, we do so completely unconsciously, we very rarely ever think about the breaths that we draw. So the first thing that we can do is, even if you don't have the lung capacity, if you've got emphysema or COPD or something like that, and you don't have the lung capacity to be able to draw deep breaths like a normal transcendental meditation would require, then just simply focusing on your breath, being conscious of breathing in, stopping, pausing, breathing out, pausing, breathing in. And that in and of itself is TM in a box. From there we go to the more technical pursuits, like the cyclic breathing, where we breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. And we breathe in through our nose using the bottoms of our lungs. Often a good way of learning how to do this is put your palm of your hand flat on your stomach, and you try and push your belly out with the in-breath without moving your chest. Once your belly is fully extended with the in-breath without moving your chest, you then begin to fill your upper chest cavity. And most of us have 2/3 of our lungs that we never actually utilise, even in quite extreme, states of activity. Swimmers and things are about the only people that actually use that part of their lungs on a regular basis. So we have this in-breath that consists of filling the lungs from the bottom first and being conscious of filling the lungs from the bottom first. And we don't want to do it in a hurry. Everything wants to be measured. If we start to feel the urge to gasp, or if we start to feel dizzy or whatever, that probably means that we're doing it a little bit too gently and to speed up a bit. Again, everything in its own time. This is all a matter of practice. This all comes with practice. So, having learnt to fully fill our lungs, the next thing is the pause. And when you've filled your lungs absolutely as full as you can get, breathing in through the nose, gently, with consideration, concentrating on how your body is achieving the breath that you're drawing, you then suspend that breath. You wait. You don't breathe out. Sometimes you'll feel, even though you've got a lung full of air, your body will be telling you that you ought to breathe. And that this is really the practice of TM, is of using the breathing techniques to learn how to overcome the spontaneous drives of the body and of the mind with the intellect. And so once we've paused on the in-breath, a matter of a second or so, when you practice you'll get up to 3 to 5 seconds maybe, and you don't want to leave it so long that you're having to blow the breath out suddenly and dramatically. You want to breathe out considered. You want to breathe out again, empty your lungs to the fullest capacity that you can. Perhaps once you think you've emptied your lungs completely, try blowing out a little bit more. Again, you'll often find that there's just a little bit more in there that you weren't expecting. Once you've emptied your lungs, again, we don't want to gasp a big breath in, but we want to just pause, just hang in that moment of not breathingness, of empty lungness, and just wait, and then just gently begin the in-breath. And if you time it just right, you should just be able to use this like a set of bellows, where the action is perfectly smooth, perfectly metered, completely of your intellectual control. And as soon as your autonomic body functions come under your intellectual control, that is the thing that illuminates you. That is the transcendence of transcendental meditation. There are extremes of transcendence where you can have astral projection, out of body experiences, yada yada yada, but the basic principle of transcendence is to leave the automata behind. Forget that you're a robot for a while and become entirely human and entirely in the moment. And initially what you'll find is that the concentration that you require to hold yourself in a comfortable position, do all the breathing, hold your posture, keep your head up straight, will actually occupy your mind to such a degree that you won't be thinking about anything, which is the idea, after all, to clear the mind. So that's kind of that's transcendental meditation. Then we've got comparison, okay, and